This will be part one of a two-part video series showing you all the fruit that I've harvested out of my backyard this year so far. Before I get started, I'd like to mention that all the trees you're about to see have been in the ground less than a year. Several of them were thinned out in order to allow for root development and not fruit production. Only a small amount of fruit was allowed to reach maturity on the majority of these trees, so it's not going to be a big harvest. Since this was a relatively small harvest, I allowed the fruit to completely ripen on the tree and only picked a few at a time each day. Once these trees mature and become well established, they should produce much bigger crops. If and when that happens, I'll have to rethink the manner in which I harvest the fruit. Hopefully I'll get to a point where I'll be able to can some of the fruit so as to have a steady supply year-round. Okay, I'll start with these two trees. These are my pink Barbie guava trees. Back in early January, these trees were growing in containers. I harvested a total of 12 guavas before planting them in the ground. The fruit off these trees was good size and good flavor, especially considering it was its first harvest. Since being planted in the ground, they put on quite a bit of growth and they're doing extremely well. Both of these trees are putting on very large crops. These should be ready for harvest towards the end of the year. Next up is my Cara Cara orange tree. I harvested a small amount of fruit off this tree during the first week in January. Back then, this tree was growing in a container. Shortly after harvesting the fruit, I planted it here in this section. Within a short time after planting, it put on a heavy set of flowers, but lost them and only set a couple of fruit. A few weeks ago, I produced some more flower buds, and as you can see here, there are a few that looks like are gonna wind up setting. This tree might be going through a bit of a transplant shock, which is why it's such a small fruit set. This next tree is my Eureka Lemon. I've only harvested about 5 lemons off this tree. This is another tree that has only been in the ground a short time. It was planted back in January, so not much of a harvest on this one, but it is doing well. This tree here is my Meyer Lemon tree. In previous seasons, it's produced a good amount of fruit, somewhere between 50 to 60 lemons. This year, I believe, will be its heaviest crop. I harvested the first lemons in mid-February, and it's been a steady producer since then. It has several lemons that are getting close to harvest. I expect by the end of this season, this tree will have produced well over 60. This tree does have a tendency to put out a few that are abnormally large. Not sure what's going on with these. It's produced a few of these on different branches. The taste is good, although the smaller ones tend to have a better flavor. I did notice that these are all coming out of the same lower main branch here. This branch is not grafted, and the leaves off of it are pretty much the same as the other ones off different branches. And so far it's only produced these larger fruits. It does have this other set of flowers that have not set any fruit. I'll wait to see if they turn out to be the same larger type, or if they're going to produce a regular sized fruit. If it does wind up producing the larger fruit, I'll likely cut this branch back. I'd rather this tree focus its energy on producing regular sized lemons. I probably won't cut it off completely, but since it does seem to be trying to take over as the dominant leader branch, I'll cut it back and allow one of the others to take over. We'll see how it goes. This next one here is my Moro blood orange. This is another tree that has only produced a small harvest so far. It has put on a good amount of growth since being planted, which was about 7 months ago. I harvested the first fruit off this tree in mid-February. It hasn't put on any flower buds since, but it is doing well. This tree did get hit with a leaf miner on the majority of all the new growth it had. I wound up cutting off most of the infected leaves and then sprayed it with some neem oil. I'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully it'll push out more new growth and maybe even some flower buds. This last one here is my Rio Red grapefruit tree. It's a semi-dwarf variety. I harvested fruit off this tree in early January, but the flavor was not that good. I decided to wait a few months and try it again in April, and the flavor was much better. It still has a few on the tree that are ready for picking. These smaller grapefruits are from its previous bloom. These won't be ready for several months. It also has some buds that are just starting to flower, and a few looks like they might be starting to set some fruit. It has a good amount scattered throughout the several branches. Hopefully a good amount of these flowers will set some more fruit. Well, that'll be it for this video. In part 2, you'll see the rest of my trees that I've harvested fruit off of. I still have several to show you. I hope you enjoyed watching and you'll stay tuned for part 2. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Until next time, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.